Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. A lot of people have been asking me to review Colleen Ballinger's ukulele apology video. So I downloaded it and let's have a look. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so I'm going to be looking at it through that lens. A lot of the allegations against her aren't quite criminal at this point, but there's sort of near criminality. There's some places where somebody could potentially argue a charge, at least where I am, but also places where it might actually get the police interested enough to do further investigation. And maybe you get somebody else who comes forward. So at this stage, she hasn't been charged with anything, but some of the allegations should have her in sort of a defensive posture, a position where she might realize, hey, I could get charged. I should be being careful. So we're going to look at it through that lens and see, hey, was this a good idea? And spoiler alert, from everything I've heard, the answer is probably going to be no, but let's just see how emphatic our no gets. Okay, let's give this a go. Oh, going right to the ukulele. This is a bad choice just in general. I'm just going to note, anything she does here can potentially end up being used as evidence if she is charged, and can also be a possible motivation for why they might decide to dig in deeper. Um, this is risky behavior at best. So, and when I say evidence, there's multiple ways this video could be used. One of them would be to establish the truth of allegations. Another might be to counter things. If she's ever charged and she testifies, then they could use things from this video in order to counter anything she might say at trial. It could also be used at sentencing in terms of if she was convicted of something, what sort of punishment. This might hurt that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, deep breath.
Hey, it's been a while since you saw my face. I haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break. So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you.
Ooh, this is not a great tone to start out with, because already she's painting herself as the victim in all of this, which, I don't know, maybe her PR team thought that was a good idea, but as a defense lawyer, certainly not a good idea. Someone who views themselves as the victim when they're actually legally considered the aggressor, that's the sort of thing that gets you hammered on sentence.
Right? You guys having fun? All aboard the toxic gossip train.
Oh,
Chugging down the tracks of misinformation, the toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station. Toxic gossip train. Tie me to the tracks and harass me for my past, 'cause rumors look like...
okay. Again, painting yourself as the victim in a situation where there's allegations against you is never a great move. Also, she's just admitted that there's something in her past. That's already an admission that on cross-examination you could make all sorts of hay with. We're not even a minute in, and already I'm wincing.
facts. If you don't mind the gaps, I won't survive in the crash, but hey, at least you're having fun.
Keep in mind, these are allegations with regards to young children. The allegations are of grooming behavior, of inappropriate contact, that sort of thing. And so this is really hurting me, as I would be very upset if a client was doing this.
Hi everyone. I've been wanting to come online and talk to you about a few things.
Bad idea.
Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say. So.
Okay, now I don't know. Maybe that's a bit. I hope to God that's a bit, that she went and vetted this with her team and the legal counsel said, okay, go ahead and post this. I don't know why I suspect what legal counsel would say is, we really don't like this. But this is how clients think sometimes. Oh, you said I couldn't talk to the police, so I just wrote it down, is the kind of thing I've heard from a client. Like, I didn't talk to the police, we were texting. So it's possible that she is just engaging in the kind of thoughts that get clients jailed, because those are the kind of thoughts that get people in jail. Oh, man. If I'm her criminal defense lawyer at this point, what I'm doing is I'm getting on the phone, calling her up and saying, I need more money. And, just write a check, start with a 1, and then just keep adding zeros until your hand gets tired and send that to me. Your PR person is also probably going to make the same phone call, but you should call me, or you should pay me first in case there's not enough money. Yeah, anytime somebody says, well, my lawyer said that this was a bad idea, they're doing something that is a very, very bad idea. It rarely ends well.
Here I am, and today I only want to talk about the facts.
No, this is not what you want to talk about and put on record in any of these kinds of situations. People say, oh, I just wanted to speak to the police to clear things up, and it's never a good idea. And when you put something on YouTube, you're talking to the police, basically. They can use this content. I'm careful about what I say on YouTube because I don't, you want to be careful. It's just sensible. All right. And if I was facing any sort of allegations, the comments I'd be making on YouTube would be, hey, I'm taking a break and I'll see you when I'm acquitted.
So I hope that you'll be willing to listen.
Oh, we're willing.
Here we go. Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was more of a loser kind of way.
This is already a terrible admission. This is the sort of thing that on cross-examination you'd just be going to town on, because what's the difference between creepy and loser here? But she's already admitting that she's messaging her fans in some sort of inappropriate or problematic kind of way. And I'm guessing she's not going to get really specific, and that vagueness is great for cross-examination, because now you can ask the jury to fill in the blanks of what that is. Why wouldn't you say it? Well, because it must be that bad, right?
I was just trying to be besties with everybody. It's kind of like when you go to like a family gathering, and there's a weird aunt there who keeps coming up to you and going like, hey girl, what's the tea? And you're like, ugh. That was me, but in group chats with my fans.
So you're admitting to creepy, off-putting behavior. Okay, bad idea. The other thing is that this metaphor that she's using of the creepy aunt, keep in mind that can play in all sorts of different ways. There's a reason why she said aunt instead of uncle. Both because she's female, but also if you think about that as the creepy uncle in this scenario, it's really a bad look. So, don't like this at all. I am not happy if I'm her defense lawyer, but I think I've said that.
It was weird. I've been sharing my life online for over 15 years. I've poured my heart out to you, and because of that I feel like I'm talking to my friends, but in the beginning of my career, I didn't really understand that maybe there should be some boundaries there. There were times...
Okay, again, this is the kind of line that you could make all sorts of use with. So you were saying that you had inappropriate contact with your minor fans. That's an admission here. This is admitting that detail to ukulele music. Lose the ukulele. Just, I assume she uses this in other, I'm not a fan of hers. I assume she uses this in other performances, but it has no business here. And if she doesn't use it in other performances, she should probably bury it in a fire.
The DMs when I would overshare details of my life, which was really weird of me. I haven't done that for years, you see, because I changed my behavior and I took accountability.
Oh, this is the sort of line that is great on sentencing. She says she took accountability, folks. Here she is playing it on the ukulele. Well, I can tell you what accountability looks like. Accountability looks like a jail sentence in the range of... So again, she hasn't been charged with anything at this stage. It's not entirely clear that any of her actions were criminal as opposed to just creepy and weird. But if they were to dig in and decide to charge her with something, this is exactly the sort of line that would be wonderful if you're trying to hammer her on sentencing. Just amazing for whichever lawyer is against her. Your own lawyer, of course, will be just face-palming.
But that's not very interesting, is it? So let's go on the toxic gossip train. The locomotive's fueled with hateful accusations. The toxic gossip train.
Again, it's a bold move to spin yourself as a victim in this kind of situation. Entirely likely she never gets charged with anything, but if she does, I would be trying to put this in front of a jury, and I think that you'd be able to. This is directly relevant. I can't see... The lawyer probably wouldn't be very successful in keeping this out.
Steamroll over someone's reputation. Toxic gossip train. Hop on board but close your eyes, otherwise you'll realize that the train is made of lies, and that person you despise maybe didn't deserve to die, but hey, at least you're having fun.
Okay, so she's coming back to that "at least you're having fun" line. And again, if this is in court, as her lawyer, I would not be having fun if I'm her lawyer in this situation. But just think about it. If there's any sort of allegation involving any sort of impropriety towards a child, and again, hasn't been charged, may never be charged, there probably, there may not be anything that can be charged. I just want to be really clear on that. But let's say that this ends up going in front of a jury and they hear allegations. And those allegations may be true or false. Somebody could come out of the woodwork and decide that because she is being excoriated in the media, they could decide that this is a good time to make something up. It happens. So she needs to consider not just the possibilities of if she did something, but also what could somebody make up? She's already sort of aware of lies, she says. Be aware that that's a risk. But the jury hears allegations that they really don't want to hear. You're talking about people who just have ordinary lives, ordinary jobs, and are being dragged into this situation where they're suddenly being forced to hear really, really unpleasant stuff. And the prosecutor gets to hit back at that with, so are you having fun, members of the jury? Are you having fun? And they're clearly not. Okay. Carrying on.
In all seriousness, I do think it's really important to hold people accountable for their mistakes.
That is a line that I would directly quote as a prosecutor. She thinks it's very serious to hold people accountable for their mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we ask you to hold her accountable for her mistakes. If she ever faces a trial, you're just quoting that, straight up quoting that in order to... I don't know what her PR person thought of this, but a lawyer, if I was representing her, I would be losing my mind.
We should hope that everyone can learn from their mistakes and grow and change their behavior and be a better person. And this is something that I've always tried to do when I make mistakes, and it's something that I will continue to try to do. What? Oh, you don't care? Oh, okay.
I actually thought she was maybe getting a little bit better on that in terms of getting sympathetic, and then she blows it up to throw it in your face again. This is really unlikable in a way that is... It matters if your client is likable. It matters if the jury has sympathy for your client. And this whiny, poor me thing is really not going to play.
You want me to take accountability, but that's not the point of your mob mentality, is it? No. Your goal is to ruin the life of the person you despise while you dramatize your lies and monetize their demise. Yeah. comments on this video. She's gaslighting, manipulating. Ugh, she's a narcissist and a rat. I would never make a mistake like that. Oh, I'm
again, you just straight up play that for the jury. Just straight up and quote it, and so you agree that this sounds like you're gaslighting. You agree that this sounds like you're manipulative, right? Why would you say it if you didn't think that that's what it would sound like? This is the kind of thing that makes it impossible to put your client up on the stand, which can be really bad if you're facing serious allegations.
sorry, I didn't realize that all of you are perfect, so please criticize me. Bring out the daggers made from your perfect past and stab me repeatedly in my bony little back.
If you're facing any sort of allegation of serious behavior, which again, somebody could come forward with, and it may not be true, right? But you've got to consider that in this perspective. You've got to consider that somebody may come forward with something that might be wholly fanciful, but still is going to look really bad in the context of this video.
Sure you're disappointed in my shitty little song. I know you wanted me to say that I was 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take that route of admitting to lies and rumors that you made up for clout.
Okay, I 100% get that you don't want to make admissions in a video when the allegations are serious. But you're making admissions all through this and you don't realize it. They're really damaging admissions. She is really helping a case against her, even if it, and I keep coming back to this, even if it's not an accurate case. This video makes it way easier to convict her of things she did do or things she didn't do. Any of those are really helped by this. The best thing to do often is to just keep your mouth shut. So she's playing high stakes games here because at the end of the day, there's a lot of money on the line. She's got a huge following and so forth. And I know she's got to look at that and consider that. But how much does that end up being worth at the end of the day in comparison with some of these risks that she's taking here?
Hey everybody, I found someone new to harass. She did some things that I do not like in her past. So everybody gather round, cause we're about to attack. But not based on facts, oh no. Your loaded lethal weapon is your fingers on the keys. You don't need any armor when you can hide behind a screen. So shoot me down quick with a click and bam.
Again, if the allegations that get made, truthful or not, are serious, all of this looks really, really bad. It looks really, really, and there's no way to mitigate that. This would be very hard to explain away. If somebody's coming in with a false complaint saying, hey, she did, various contact sorts of things, then at that point she's going, well, that wasn't what I was talking about in this video. It just looks like that after the fact because... And you're already explaining in a way that just makes you look more guilty. There is no way to dig out of that hole. You can only dig deeper. And somebody needs to take away her shovel and use it to smash that ukulele.
My reputation's deceased.
You got more to worry about here.
I also wanted to take a minute to talk about that girl Miranda Sings. You know the one. Yeah, her. She's
Also
PG-13. It says that on my website, and it's always been that way. And that's why you won't find my videos on the YouTube Kids app. Anyway, I didn't realize it was my responsibility to decide what was appropriate for every kid to see. I've always relied on parents to decide if they're comfortable with their families watching my YouTube videos or coming to my live shows.
And that's fair in the sense that parents got to make, parental guidance. Maybe not so much when one of the allegations is having a young fan up on a stage and spreading their legs in front of the audience. Just, you got to have some context here.
Now, Have I made some jokes in poor taste? Yes. Have I made lots of dumb mistakes? Yes. Am I sad that there are some fans who feel betrayed? Yes.
Have I made lots of dumb mistakes? Yes. Everybody has. Every single person. But in the context here, this again is great fodder for cross-examination. You admit you've made a lot of dumb mistakes. Some of those mistakes might be criminal, right?
But was my intention to manipulate? No.
This whole video feels like your intention is to manipulate. This doesn't land the way you think it does.
It doesn't really matter what my intention was, because it seems as though everyone's already decided on that. Let me tell you, it's not very fun to have millions of people all over the world call you the most vile, horrendous, disgusting, life-ruining words.
I'm just gonna stop you right there. These things are never fun, but nobody cares about you as much as you care about you. And this is always going to be a problem when you're facing any sort of allegation, because you're going to feel that you're hard done by. And that's especially true. Let's take it out of her situation here. Let's say that you meet somebody, you never have any contact with them at all, but then they make a very serious allegation against you. You're feeling very hard done by at that point because you're facing charges. They might be very serious charges, and you didn't do it. But your righteous indignation about that, your upset about that, does not play well. And it ends up being something that can harm you in front of a court or in front of a jury, in front of a prosecutor who's deciding whether or not they should downgrade your charges or drop your charges, because they might be looking at that and it just looks really wrong. I've seen sentencing reports where people say they talk about how much it's affected them, and that always results in a push for a higher sentence, not a lower sentence. If you say, this has really harmed me and I'm a victim here, they'll say, well, you've got no perspective. You don't really realize what's going on. This is the sort of thing that this is one of the things where a lawyer is helpful, because they can be an outside voice to look at it and say, listen, don't. Just don't. This might be coming from the heart. It might be heartfelt. It might be your perspective. But from the context of other people, it doesn't work.
A person can be called, in my opinion. It doesn't matter that these things aren't true. Everyone just believes that you are the type of person who manipulates and abuses children.
That's the wrong kind of allegation to set to ukulele music. And again, if she's ever facing charges, which may or may not be true, again, she isn't at this point, she may never. I don't know if there's any truth to any of the allegations here, but if she's sitting there trying to say, well, this wasn't what I was talking about, she's not specific about the allegations here in a way that actually could allow them to be spun to any allegation that fits that description, which could be a lot more serious than the current suggestions that are floating around in the news. If you thought this was a bad idea, it's a worse idea than you thought.
So I just wanted to say that the only thing I've ever groomed is my 2 Persian cats. I'm not a
This is not the time to get cute. This is not the time to be funny.
groomer. I'm just a loser who didn't understand I shouldn't respond to fans. And I'm not a predator, even though a lot of you think so, because 5 years ago I made a fart joke.
Which is really downplaying this allegation. The allegation that was made was that she was up on a stage with a young fan, spread that fan's legs out on the stage in front of the audience, and then made a fart noise. So if in whatever jurisdiction that happens, they decide that that is something that they can proceed with, criminal charges, then they can say, look at how she's downplaying it. You might think you're helping. It's almost never the case that these statements help. And I'm just going to say, somebody in the comments is going to say, listen, you're being unfair to her. You're spinning all of this in the way that looks the worst possible for her. What do you think happens in a criminal trial? You're going to have a defense lawyer there saying, hey, we need to look at this in a different way. But the prosecution's going to be spinning this as much as they can into we should be bringing out the torches and pitchforks. And she's making it very easy for them.
So, even though I know this video won't change anyone's mind about me.
Not in the way you want. It might, but not in the way you want.
I still felt it was important to come on here and defend myself a little and take accountability.
This is the worst instinct that people have when they're facing any sort of allegation. People say, I just felt it was important to tell my side of the story. That's how they explain that they talk to the cops. And often that is what gets them into even worse trouble. I thought it was important for me to tell my side of the story, to explain myself, to defend myself, and it ends up being what sends them to jail.
And I also wanted to say that to anyone out there who has ever supported me in any capacity, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you.
I don't hate that too much.
I never had any bad intentions. But I do feel like shit.
Again, people don't much care how you feel here. It's not fair when you're facing charges.
You're jogging down the tracks of misinformation, toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station, toxic gossip train. You tied me to the tracks and harassed me for my past.
Here's other questions. Because she's chosen to do this in the form of song, which is a novel and somewhat bold choice, you get to ask questions like, how long did it take you to write this? You don't just perform for your video performances just off the cuff, right? You've got to do rehearsals. So this is a practice statement. You meant everything that you said in it, right? There's nothing where you slipped up because you rehearsed this. The song aspect doesn't help. You can see that just watching this, but there's various angles where you could really try to hammer that home.
Rumors look like facts when you don't mind the gaps. I won't survive in the crash, but hey.
That could be taken as self-pitying. It could be taken as an admission. You said you wouldn't survive because you knew that this was all going to come tumbling down, that you were, again, this is how things get spun.
I hope you had some fun.
I hate that line. I hate it as a defense lawyer. If he was my client, I just hate every minute of this.
Actually, maybe I should let you guys know something. It seems like maybe you're confused about something. I don't know. Let me try to help.
Oh, no, you've done enough.
Sometimes people make a mistake and it doesn't make them a horrible person. Whoa. Sometimes people can make a mistake and they're still a good person. Crazy, I know.
Again, the make a mistake is really vague, so you can try to patch that in on whatever might come in. And she's not helping. She's just digging further.
Sometimes people can make a mistake, and you don't have to take that mistake, oh no, and twist it up and grind it and add some lies to it and pulverize it and stab it with knives and ruin a life, and oh no.
Again, the context on this one matters a lot. It really depends on what kind of mistake you're talking about. And there's mistakes where people will absolutely have pity on you saying, hey, I made a mistake, it's not a big deal. And there's types where they won't. And typically when kids are involved, you fall more towards the they won't.
Sometimes people can make a mistake. It doesn't mean you gotta send them hate, oh no. Sometimes people can make a mistake, and you can kindly let them know and help them to grow. Sometimes people make mistakes simply because they made a mistake.
Ugh. Again, you got to consider the context here, but this I don't think is helping at all.
And that mistake doesn't make them a terrible human. It just makes them a human. But what do I know? Fuck me, right?
Okay, so that's something. Again, I can really believe that it's hard to say, it's hard to say if that I ran this by my team and they told me not to do it is part of the bit. I can't imagine she actually ran this by her team and they said, yeah, go ahead. That's excellent. Fire. I can't imagine her lawyers saying, send that. I can't imagine her PR team saying, looks good to me. And if they are, then maybe they're just too close. That's a risk. It's an occupational hazard. If you can get too close to your client and you lose some objectivity, that's a time to get off record. You need somebody, she needs somebody in that room who can say, really? That's what you want to post online? Anyway, it's kind of blown up on her to the extent that I've got people, and I'm not in the sphere of whatever it is she does on YouTube, but I've had a lot of people asking me to comment on this one, so I decided to have a watch. And I hate it. I hate every minute of it. As a defense lawyer, this is, it's not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is if she does a video where she says, you know what, I'm going to lay out each allegation and tell you what really happened and goes into a whole lot of detail about that. That's terrible because everything she says happens at that point is set in stone if it's bad for her, but everything she leaves out, they can still come after her for, all of that. So again, just to be real clear, because this is a sensitive topic, I don't see that she's done anything that is going to be charged at this point. And she may never, and any allegations that are made against her may be accurate, may not. I don't know what the actual truth of the matter is. I just know that the allegations are the sort of thing that would make you nervous. That either that they're going to dig up something and string together a charge that might be weak factually, but I mean, the old line is they could indict a ham sandwich. So they may not be able to actually get to a place where they can charge or where they've got a good charge, but they might throw one together anyway. Or you can get false allegations, or they could find something and say, hey, this gets us to where we need to be. So I'd be concerned in her shoes, and I would never put this out. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think. I really, I shake my head at this one, but you may have a different take. Let me know. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to see more content. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters at the $50 level: Traveling Science Man, the CCFR, CAIM, Canada's National Firearms Association, and the CCSA. I also want to thank at the $30 level, Sights and Arms Limited and Jane Babe and Luxor. And at the $20 level, Lindsay Metcalf, Larry Kalniak, Kyle Fox, Here's a Coin, Legal Witcher, Cameron Johnson, Andrew Elsich, Vicky, and Dorky Dane. Thank you as well to my $10 supporters who will be in the crawl immediately following. Thank you for watching. Hope this armed you with knowledge. See you next time.